Hateful Fana is one of the biggest damage dealing units in the game, but we're going to go more in depth into her kit as to whether she will be good long term or not, and all of her skills, do they have more value besides just damage. So she is the strongest AoE unit by far in the game to this current point, if you're not counting anti-magic Black Asta. Obviously he is his own unit where you could get like 1100% damage increase, so that is a whole nother story. But Fana herself is very good, and she is either out on your server or coming out within the next 12 hours whenever reset hits. So let's get into what exactly she does. She is a green attacker, and obviously this allows her to be on the mono green team. So for newer players, she will be very useful for you in PvP, at least lower PvP. It will be very, very good. This Fana actually is quite nice, and let's get into the damage. So skill 1 applies 1 instance of hatred. So her skill 1 and skill 2 both apply hatred stacks, where the skill 1 applies 1 instance and the skill 2 applies 2 instances up to 5 max. The skill 1 also does increase damage if the enemy has an active taunt by 35%. Now the skill 2 applies burn on an enemy, all enemies. This is an AoE. Now what's funny is that this is the strongest AoE in the game. Before it was Summer Noel at 138% and hurts 140 on the skill 2. Then on the ultimate, it starts off at 150 and goes up to 210%. So this is super strong, right? It is extremely strong. Now, what does it do? How does it work? First of all, it does remove an ally's barrier as a kind of like, because, you know, she's hateful, so, you know, she's got to hate on someone. And that's the first thing. Now, if there's no hatred stacks, so if you're using this turn 1, because skill 1 and skill 2 both give hatred stacks, so if you're using this turn 1, you're doing 240% outright at max level 5. Insane. And that goes all the way up if you have 5 instances of hatred, which would take either 2 or 3 turns. Sorry, it would take either 3 or 4 turns, my bad. It's going to be doing 390%, okay? And overall, though, if we do look at her stats, they are quite good in comparison to others, if I'm not misremembering. If we go right here, we go to just DPS in general. We go to magic attack. She is sitting over here, which is very high in general. So stats-wise, she is looking crazy. Okay, we're gonna have very high stats on this Fana. Even if it's just 1000 extra magic attack, that scales up quite a bit. Now, her combo also puts a guaranteed taunt, which in some cases can be good, but remember, she is a DPS. She has low defenses, if I'm not... So, well, actually, if we are looking, she has higher defenses than most. I opened the wrong tab. She has the highest defense a DPS has at the moment, but in terms of HP, she is pretty down there, I guess you could say that, because a lot have up to 50,000 HP. So, things to consider in all of that good stuff. Now, in terms of upgrade order, it would be the ultimate first, skill 2 second, combo third, skill 1 third. The combo shouldn't really be upgraded because you're not using the combo. If you're able to use the combo, just use the ultimate, usually is how it's going to end up working. If you want someone to taunt, just get Rodison. He has a 2-turn combo, taunt. So, you know, there is that. Now, as for her passives, this is the LR passive. Now, what the LR passive does, Sense is green, so if everyone is green, you get stun block for 1 turn, which basically restricts her almost completely, in a way, to being mono green. I mean, it does make it so that on other teams, she's not as good, but, like, this is mainly the units you will be seeing in the, like, on her teams, right? She doesn't work too well on many other like teams with any blue units or red units at the moment, but we'll see if that actually changes in the future. But for right now, it is mainly mono green teams, but it works very well with her because Charlotte gives the 80% barrier. She gives stun block turn 1. It works out quite well, okay? Now, the passives, the Dupe passives. So at Dupe 2, if there are 5 hatred stacks, which is very deep into the game, she is set to 1% HP and gets immortality. Then at the end of a wave grants 50% of max HP as HP recovery. Now the thing is with this, why it is actually quite decent is because of the fact that for DPS, sometimes by like the time you're getting to this turn 4, I would say like 3 or 4 for Fana, well, she is going to be very low HP, or should be. So this is going to make it so that she's going to be at least able to survive 1 more turn after this, and then heal back up. at least to 50%. Now the Dupe 5 is a lot better, where if she is hit with taunt or enhanced taunt, she has 50% damage reduction for one turn, and this could happen multiple times. And what is also very good is this allows you to kind of play around Black Asta, because 50% damage reduction might be able to save you in some cases if you have other forms of damage reduction with Charlotte. Okay, so that is the main thing. Now, the stats she gets from being duped out are magic attack, defense, and crit rate, which is why she has such high defense now that I'm looking at it. Overall, though, I would say for most people, if you want to dupe her out, if you're like a whale, like you could dupe her out, I would say it is pretty good. But I mean, if you have very good gear, like Licht is just fine and will work pretty well once Mario Leona comes out. I think once Mario comes out, then the mono green team is going to be pretty much solidified for the most part, as something very good, even with Licht. Now, we're going to talk about teams later, and if you want to go to the timestamps right now for that, go ahead. I do feel that if you're only going for 2 dupes, it's not really worth it, in my opinion. You would either go for max dupe or no dupes at all. She is not a very high investment unit to make good, which is very nice. I think it is one of the biggest pros from her. Another pro that I didn't really mention is that she starts off at 109 speed without any dupes. Highest DPS speed in the game without dupes. So, you know, it's just pretty insane how they ended up doing this. Going on to the skill pages, Leopold's is probably the best if you're on mono green, which is most of the time, because it gives the most amount of all attack increase at, well, either 0 dupes or max dupe, right? Up to 30%. And why this is good, because, well, Charlotte gives a barrier, a huge barrier turn 1, and then the barriers are going to keep on going to Fana. So because of that, you're going to have this all attack for most of the round, or at least the rounds that matter. Then Fana's, if you don't have Leopold's, Fana's works, Julius's works, and then also the Breath of Darkness works, and then Gork's works as the same type of thing if you just want all attack. Now, if you have this one max duped, when Mario Leona comes out, this one will be one of the best ones, because Mario Leona at max dupe, which is how you're usually going with fests, Mario Leona at max dupe will actually be giving a burn every time she's hit, and she does taunt the DPS. She's going to be, anytime she's hit, takes damage, right? Mario Leona will be applying a burn, so you will usually see 2 or 3 burns, and that's going to give Fana a like 20-25% damage increase for every burn up to 3. Remember that. And then this one is just also going to work as kind of, it's just there, right? So like mainly the all attack ones are decent, right? Especially because she does apply some burns at the very least, so that's stuff to consider. For Fana, this should be the best talent build. So you're going to get the debuff immunity when you fall below 35%, and since she's a DPS, it will happen. Now with this one also, if you have her at 2 dupes, right, remember, it does put her to 1% HP, which will guarantee getting this Iron Will debuff immunity. Now, also with the defense increase is much better than crit resistance for this case. Now, on top, getting the damage dealt plus the crit damage is way better than magic attack and then crit rate. The magic attack is nice for the burn, but in general, you're only applying minimal burn stack, so it's much better to get outright damage dealt and crit damage. So there is that. Now for this side, I decided to go for accuracy and penetration just for extra damage. And then because you might want to get to the 5 hatred stacks as quick as possible if you have her at 2 dupes, or if you just want to get the ult to max hatred stacks, well, you could have the 20% chance to reduce skill 2 cooldown. Okay, now if you feel that, and also why exactly we're not running resolution is because of the fact that Charlotte is able to give debuff immunity. Where is it? Charlotte, debuff immunity. So Charlotte is able to give debuff immunity with, well, without the skill page even, right? If we take off the skill page, I just want to make sure, she does give debuff immunity for 1 turn, which is going to just kind of go in place for, like, Fana blocking. So, you know, that's kind of how we went for the talent build on, Fana. I mean, that's basically how it would work. This one works well. Now, as for the, gear, so this one I would say attack and magic attack would be the best, because she does have pretty good stats. If not, crit damage works well. Now for this one, going outright defense or crit resistance works. So for this one, you're gonna go crit res if there is Summer Vanessa, and speed if there's no Summer Vanessa on your team, essentially. So let me just reset this, and then we'll be good to go. As for gear, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than this. Speed, defense, attack just works universally very well, right? Now, if you want to have more damage and you don't fear dying, then putting either penetration or crit damage is not a bad idea. But the thing is with speed, defense, attack, especially right now, is that many people did farm this set a lot and should have the gears transcended. Now, there is the other case where it doesn't really matter anymore because of how many free LR selection boxes we're getting. So you're going to be able to get whichever set you want. So overall, if you are just trying to get optimal quote-unquote gear for Fana, then I mean in general, looking at it, it would, if you're not dying a lot, right, which you might want to see, you might want to wait to choose between defense and a pen till later, but pen or crit damage is not a bad idea. In general, from my experience, it is mainly going to depend on how strong your Charlotte's barrier is, because you hopefully should have a lot of HP on your Charlotte, and also should have Charlotte at 2 dupes to give Fana a bunch of barriers, because if not, Fana won't really work. Any of the DPSs in green won't really work if Charlotte isn't at 2 dupes. So that's for the main sets. Now, as for the substats and all of that good stuff, first of all, you want to build her mainly with magic attack, because her magic attack stat is higher. When you get magic attack percent, it will allow that percent to be worth way more than if it was an attack percent. So let's say even if we build her full attack, right, she will still have essentially magic attack that's basically unused, where her attack stat is so low, being at, well, like if we check in, sorry, let me actually pull it up. So if we do check, right, her attack stat is so much lower, more than 3 times lower, to where it is more worth it to just go magic attack, because the amount of percent increase you're getting, the amount of like outright stats you're getting from a percent increase is way higher if you're building her with magic attack. I just thought I'd give a refresher as to why we're building some units with magic attack. It's usually the stat that's higher, that if you have an optimal set, if you could choose between an attack percent attack set fully transcended or a magic attack set fully transcended, you will go and choose the one that with the higher stat for the most part. Now, as for the substats on her, magic attack percent will be the best. This is the stat you're going to want the most. Then after that, it's going to be crit rate and crit damage for sure. Now, if you're trying to get some other stats that will not be bad would for sure be defense percent if you're getting it as an add-on and crit resistance. But mainly focus on magic attack, crit rate, and then crit damage. Now, make sure it is magic attack percent and not flat magic attack. Now, for the top, if you have a magic attack percent necklace, that's great, but for a lot of free-to-plays, you won't be having that, so just defense is fine. Then here, crit damage, and then here, crit rate, because I don't think you could get crit damage. Oh, wait. No, you can't get crit damage, so just try to have at least 100% crit rate, and then go off the crit damage from there, because you do want to crit, and you got to remember now, crit resistance is starting to get a lot higher, where here 20% means that my 120% crit rate is now at about 100%. So, things to consider for that. I'm going to be fully transparent with you. There's not many mono green teams you can use, but the mono green teams that you can use are very good, and the units themselves are not difficult to obtain, and it is the units for the most part many people will try to obtain. So there is that. Fana works best on a mono green team because she unlocks her passive and also allows Charlotte to go crazy, even crazier now, right? So this is going to be one of the best teams. This slot really can be Licked or Fana, right? You've seen my Licked showcase, and if you haven't, go check it out. If I remember, I will link it below. Now, on this team, having Fuego skill page will allow Fana to go even crazier and do such ridiculous damage. Now, Leona is not out yet, so in general, you might do a team like this, where you have double DPS, and this one, if you have 2 sets fully built up, will work so well. Now, besides that, this team will also work very well. Keynote, please put Vanessa in the first slot to make her quicker than Fana. Now, there's some things you might have to work around, but Fana is 109 speed and Vanessa 103 base speed. So this is one of the ways to work around it, where you want to make Vanessa quicker than Fana. Now, another thing you might want to do is not give Fana the speed gear if you're trying to run this. Now, why would you run this? So that Fana is protected for the first 2 rounds, because remember, Vanessa gives protection to the ally with the lowest speed. So you make Fana the person with the lowest speed, and there you go. Oh, I'm on JP. I really thought I was on global. So you give Fana the lowest speed, and then Fana is going to be protected and will not be able to be silenced by Red Yuno's silence, okay? Now, besides that, you could also go for putting Rhodas here if you really want. If you feel like you need more defense and you're really struggling against Black Asta, it would not be a bad idea to do that as of right now. But once Leona comes out, I really feel like this is going to be one of the best teams. Mario just works very well for mono green, and in this team, Mario could either be used, I would recommend more so as a DPS, but you could use her as a tank too and let Fana do all the good work. But Fana can die because she technically does not have any immortality until later on in the match at 2 dupes, so you still would have to get her to 2 dupes. So for a lot of people, if you have 2 sets, this one is going to be very good. Double AoE alts, And then this one also is going to work very well. Now, one thing with Rill, I think I need to highlight this because it is actually very important, is that Rill is very strong, but I would recommend, you should be able to, but getting Rill skill page is very important. I'll show you why. So, he has 50% chance to remove 2 buffs from an enemy. Now, this actually goes through debuff block. Now, the bottom part doesn't, but if, for example, oh wait, it goes up to 70%. No, Rill is actually so good. So, being able to remove 2 buffs means you can remove damage reduction on someone. And that's basically increasing your damage outright just like that. And he's usually attacking before Fana. Now, the crazier part is when the skill page adds this. For each buff removed, adds a 20% increased damage taken. So, someone who does not have debuff block is going to have 50%, a 60% defense reduction. Going to remove buffs, which could be damage reduction buffs removed. And then apply an extra 40% increased damage taken if you remove 2 buffs, which is why Rill with Fana is very crazy, because you use the skill 2 turn 1, try to remove some damage reductions, and Fana will be cooking. So yes, that is it for now. Fana is going to be coming out on my server very soon. I should be streaming the summon, so if you want to go check that out, please do. Solo leveling is also coming out the same day, so I'm going to be streaming probably twice tomorrow. So, I'm going to be ready, going to be getting this the character glossary up to 100%, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video.